This is Mike Sylvia with New Bedford Guy, continuing our political discussion with the candidates for October 3rd election. So we're here with Ward 1 candidate Randy Santos. So why should people vote for you?
Well, I think the answer is twofold. I'll give you two main reasons, but I'll start with the first. I think that the first would be my life experiences. I've had a very diversified working career. I am a chemist by education, and the early part of my career I was a chemist and a manager, so I have been responsible for running textile mills, keeping everybody working, and it's a very difficult thing. At some point I went back to school to take some accounting courses because it involved a lot of finance, and that was the first half of my career. The second half of my career I worked as a real estate professional. Originally, I was a real estate broker, and after a amount of time, I became a real estate appraiser. I currently hold both licenses. They are in inactive status now. I also have been a home inspector. I've done work as a home inspector. And finally, what I really love to do, I ended up residential building. I can't even count, but I don't know, maybe 15 houses on Martha's Vineyard. And by the time I was done with that, I started doing mostly nonprofit work. I'm an auditor and officer for the Club Madeirense, the organization that runs the Portuguese Feast. My responsibilities there are primarily financial, but I just tell you this I think that this is a very diversified background because I have done a lot of things, and that's the first reason you should vote for me. The second reason you should vote for me is a big one. The basic reason is availability. I'm recently retired. I have time to research all the issues that come up. We know the City Council does meet on Thursday night, and that's true, but the City of New Bedford conducts its business 9 to 5 during the day. It is possible to be effective as a city councilor, as a part-time councilor, but I think the needs of Ward 1 would be far better served by somebody that's available full-time. So pretty much in review, basically my reasoning would be experience and availability, and also I've been a resident of Ward 1 mostly all my life, and I will live in Ward 1 for the rest of my life, and I'm very concerned about what goes on around me. We've had good leadership so far. I'd like to see that continue, and I honestly think that I can contribute, that I can help, and that's basically why.
Okay, so you're running for Ward 1. What is the biggest concern for Ward 1 residents?
Ward 1 residents, people keep talking to me about taxes, about crime, a lot of the issues that you would expect. I have interest in a few other issues, but I would say mostly everybody's issues are of more of a financial nature. The direction that their taxes are going in, city services, condition of roads. Hey, I can't blame anybody there. But things of that nature.
So Chuck asks, do you support voter ID? Simply yes or no. Do you support people having to have an ID to vote?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So we talk about Ward 1, but what about the city overall? So you represent Ward 1 if you get elected, but you still represent the city. So what would be the biggest concern for the city of New Bedford?
Oh, the biggest concern for the city of New Bedford, in my mind, is crime. And because we do have, Ward 1 is, fairly safe. I don't think that crime in Ward 1 is the most important issue, but elsewhere in the city there is a problem with crime. And to me, I think if we can work on stemming the opioid epidemic, that we can put a very good dent in this crime, because I believe that's where most of the crime originates from. It's pretty much like a vicious cycle, and I think if we're innovative about solving that problem, that the crime problem will tend to go away. And the way to do that the police have been taking an innovative approach. I like a lot of what I've seen recently, interaction with the community, et cetera. But, the most important thing is not what can I do? The most important thing is what can we do? And I think being the eyes and ears of the police and helping them is where we can make a difference. In our higher crime neighborhoods, you have a much greater incidence of unreported crime. And that tells you something. The people there are not working with the police, and we're having problems there. So I believe that the crime issue we can solve by working with the police. And once again, I like a lot of what I've seen.
So Carl asks, what in your background makes you a good candidate to represent your area?
In my background, I would say just about everything. When you run a textile mill, you're responsible for pricing, keep everybody at work. Your decisions have an impact on whether your colleagues have employment. And, a textile mill is like a microcosm in itself. It's just like running a very small city. And that, I believe, has given me a lot of the experience, the management experience, the finance. But what also is very important, I spent a good bit of time as a real estate professional, as a broker, as an appraiser, a home inspector, and lastly, as a residential builder. So, as the residents of the city have problems, they want to know what they have to do to obtain a variance, have problems with certain parts of the building code. That's what a lot of people's issues are when they call their city councilor. And, I've been there, I've done it. I've, been before the zoning board, the licensing board. And, I feel that when residents call their city councilor, they basically need help dealing with the city. And once again, I'm available full-time, and the city offices are open from 9 to 5, so I have the ability to go down there and straighten out whatever the issue is, and chances are very likely that it's something that I've run into, possibly even as a private investor, as a builder.
So Chuck asks about the blackout brownouts of the fire stations. So would you support increased funding for the fire department, and what do you think about the blackouts?
Well, I can't say I'm fond of it. Do I support increasing funding in the fire department? I can't give you a definitive answer at this time because basically I'm just beginning to look at the mayor's 2017 budget. It's 181 pages. I'm in the middle of campaigning also. But I would be able to answer that question once I've dug into it into a little bit more depth. If we possibly can, I believe we should. It's a matter of safety. But, there are financial ramifications and they have to be reviewed.
Okay, so Chuck asks, what would you do as a counselor to help promote growth of business in New Bedford?
Well, I think recently we're on the right track. We have to, our industrial park is at present either almost full or full, and there's talk about dedicating more land. And if you want to create jobs, you need a place to put these companies, and I think what we should do is attempt to attract business to the city because that's going to bring us jobs. And, again, with my background, unemployment is historically low in New Bedford. But we can't rest on our laurels because when the economy gets bad, it gets bad for everybody. And we've got to rise above everybody. So I think part of the issue is giving, potential businesses some incentives. And we have to make sure that we're careful. In some cases, we've, not the city of New Bedford specifically, but, there have been incentives that have been extended that, actually have been detrimental, to the city in question. So I think that whatever we do, we need somebody there that can take a good look, somebody who can read a spreadsheet, somebody that's good with numbers, somebody that understands business. But I think we're on the right track. I know we have a plan to, take part of the municipal golf course and, further expand. I believe that's a good plan, and I believe that that is the best location in New Bedford, primarily because of access and the minimal impact that it would have on our city's infrastructure.
Okay, so Dennis Otta asks, How informed are you on the Massasoit Pond issue and study? So, wants to know what the issues are with Massasoit Pond.
Well, I live on Massasoit Pond. Well, actually, I live on Acushnet Avenue. And, you know, the residents have a variety of, you know, quite far as I know, the residents have a variety of issues. No one particular issue stands out. People are concerned about crime, taxes, the condition of the roads. That's mostly what people are talking to me about.
Okay, so we'll do a final question. So what's the best thing about New Bedford?
The best thing about New Bedford? Well, I'm an officer for the Club Madeirense, so I would have to say second to living in New Bedford, the Portuguese feast.
Okay, so this was Ward 1 candidate Randy Santos. Up next at 6 o'clock, we're going to be dealing with Chris Amaral, who's also going for Ward 1 candidate. So thank you, Randy.
Thank you.